Hello, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Steven Out, and we are here with another Bond video. Today, we'll be doing the top 10 Bond cars. Now, for this list, I am ranking Bond cars that Bond himself has personally drove. I'm taking into account the design of the car, how it is used in the film, and just how good looking these cars are. But I will admit, the second criteria on how it's used is really mostly are going to play a really big factor. And how I definitely know my honorable mention and my dishonorable mention will really be based around that particular ranking. So without any further ado, let's get into it with our dishonorable mention. Our dishonorable mention goes to the BMW Z3, seen in GoldenEye. Now, I will be frank, the reason why this car is a dishonorable mention is not because of the design. I like the car, I really do. But I got a few problems with it. First off, I'm not a huge fan of the color. Second, it looks too much like a Barbie's car. And even if that wasn't the case, another thing is how it's used. We got a Q scenes to set up this car to be a big fantastical with its gadgets, but sadly, it never comes to fruition. Now, I will admit, one thing I liked, throughout the 90s, Pierce Brosnan drove BMWs and not Aston Martins, except with of course, one of the most famous ones, but we'll get to that later. So that's why it's a dishonorable mention, because it's not utilized as well, and we're given a setup that doesn't pay off. And I'm really sad, because I really want to see what this car could have done, but it never did. Now, our honorable mention goes to the Cretino 2CV, probably butchering that name. This was used in For Your Eyes Only. Now, I definitely can agree, this is not the most stylish or good looking of the Bond cars. Hell, it was Molina's who was the Bond girl of the film. And eventually, Bond himself got behind the wheel. Now, I like how it's used to set up the big action scene and prove that Bond can still rock or drive a car like this with fast and style, despite how it looks. So that's why I've always liked it, because it was going against expectations. Again, this was supposed to be down to earth, and Bond driving a car that really is ridiculous, but still managed to outrun the classic the other Bond cars, is something really enjoyable there, and it really sets up for a very good action scene. However, I put it on mention because, let's be honest, no one will want to own this car. But the others, well, we may like to own one. So with that out of the way, let's kick into the actual top 10. Kicking off at number 10, the AMC Hornet. Now, despite all the faults with the man with the golden gun, I will admit, the car chase we got when Bond got behind this car was pretty good. To keep up with Scaramanga, who was driving off with his henchman Knick-Knack, driving off, and of course Sheriff W. Pepper happens to be in the passenger seat with Bond. Now, I will admit, this type of car with a more muscle-bound, I will admit, I wouldn't have thought of Bond to be behind the wheel, but I like the style of this car so much. I also like how it is used. It's really given a great stunt, even though I felt maybe the slide whistle might have killed it a bit, and probably they shouldn't have put that in for a gag. But I absolutely love the style of this car. And I just like how it is used to pay off for that really big stunt. Now, I put this ahead of the honorable mention because it's a car I would definitely like to own or get behind the wheel of compared to the other one. And honestly, it's a nice looking car. Definitely not one Bond will drive, honestly. But then again, it's not a bad car. So I really like it. Number 9. The Aston Martin DBS. This was used in On Her Majesty's Secret Service. Which is, of course, my all-time favorite Bond film. I actually like the style of this car really much. Now, this car really has no gadgets, but it has a compartment where it holds his, foldable rifle, which, of course, was used in From Russia with Love. And this car is absolutely stylish, and I like how it's Lazenby's car. Other actors would get other Bond cars, but arguably an actor at least has one car they can definitively say is theirs. Now, while this has gadgets like the other ones, It has one of the most iconic scenes done in the films, such as in the beginning, where it's to build up the suspense on who the new Bond is to look like. And of course, it has one of the most tragic endings of the entire series, with Tracy's infamous death done in the passenger seat, arguably leading to one of the series' most heartbreaking moments. I absolutely love the style of this car, but it is at number 9 because the others have either impressive gadgets or just lead off to a better action scene. This one doesn't really have any action scene to really, but it's a nice car nonetheless, and I put it at number 9. Coming in at number 8, the BMW 750 Iola. Now, like I said, throughout the 90s, Pierce Brosnan drove mostly BMWs. Now, this car definitely doesn't scream spy. It honestly looks like a family car, but despite that, I like how it is used with its impressive array of gadgets. First off, it gave a good setup. Second, it is revealed that the car can be remote controlled. And I like how throughout this action scene done in the parking garage, Pierce Brosnan's Bond is in the back of the seat, controlling the car with the remote control that, of course, is in his phone, and he doesn't need to get behind the wheel, which I like. It plays a bit against expectations, and I thought the car was used very reasonably well, and I definitely could see Pierce Brosnan probably having a blast in the back. I really like. Now, even though this car is not stylish, I love the gadgets, how it's used, and honestly, if this was like a car to be given to spies with families, I would imagine that every spy that has kids will want to have this car. Anyway, I really like it. Number 7. The Aston Martin DBS V12. With the rebooted era of Daniel Craig, he was given his own Aston Martin. Now, like the previous, it doesn't have any gadgets, but I love the style of this car. It is absolutely slick, it is smooth, and it's really more realistic. Of course, it does have a secret compartment where it hides his gun and, of course, a respirator device. And, of course, it's used for one of the most impressive roles, car crashes, which rolled, I think, quite a large amount of time and broke a world record for. This car is absolutely stylish, and of course would be used both in Casino Royale and be brought back for Quantum of Solace. And it's a shame that, and of course, a modern version of this car is being brought back for No Time to Die, which I can't wait to see in how it goes. I absolutely love the style of this car, and I don't think it's ever gonna go away. Number 6. The Aston Martin Vanquish. For all your faults with Die Another Day, whether it's how it's suspended its disbelief too much, such as having an invisible car, I do admit, I love the style of it, and I don't mind it being invisible. Again, I could get behind that. I don't think it was used in the right location, though. And honestly, this car is so stylish, and for a long time, Bond finally got behind the wheel of an Aston Martin. Bond hadn't had his own new Aston Martin since The Living Daylights, and that came out in 1987. This came out in 2002, and as a result, Bond was back behind a new Aston Martin. Just as stylish, just as cool looking, and I absolutely love how it is used in one of the most, in my opinion, one of my favorite action scenes of the film, well, one of its few saving graces, the action scene between Bond going up against another rival gadget car, a Jaguar. And it's a really good chase, and I like how it took him that long to have the concept of a villain to have his own gadget car. Now, despite your faults for this, I don't think you can't deny this car is cool looking, and you yourself would want to own one. Number 5. The BMW Z8. Now, first off, compared to the dishonorable mention, this is practically the same thing as the honorable mention, dishonorable mention. It's kind of the same car, different color, different design, but first off, I like the color a bit better. Even though it's a Barbie car, I really feel that it works a bit better. First off, we do get a gadget scene. It's maybe short-lived, but it's a good one nonetheless. I like how it is used and set up for a really good gag punchline. Now, I really like this car, and it's weird having this car be put ahead amongst the other cars on the list, when really the other Aston Martin should be on top. And again, Bond drove a lot of Aston Martins. Aston Martins are Bond's cars. But I really like this car. I can't help it. And definitely, out of all the BMWs, this is the car I would want to own if I got to own only one BMW. It'd be this. I don't know. Is it too much of a Barbie car? Maybe. But look, you can't help with what you want, and this is a fun car I would like to get behind the wheel of. Number 4. The Aston Martin V8 Vantage. This was used in The Living Daylights, and just like in Die Another Day, it been a long time since Bond had actually gone behind the wheel of an Aston Martin. Again, Bond hadn't gone behind the wheel of an Aston Martin since Thunderball, and that was in '65. So it took nearly a whole decade, 2 whole decades, for Bond to finally get behind the wheel again. And I actually love the style of the car. It's more, I like the black coating. It's kind of like on Her Majesty's car, but it's more slick, it's more stylish. It has more of a dark edge, which fits Timothy Dalton's Bond of going in a more darker direction. I also like the color. Again, the color scheme's nice, and some of the gadgets in the car a more darker. First off, the wheel shoots out a laser. There are rockets that can come out. I like how it's got special skis to sort of help it when the wheel gets, busted. Again, I really like this car. And of course, it also has an explosion device, and I like how it's used in the chase, the car chase of its film. It's short-lived, but I do like that the car is being brought back for No Time to Die, and honestly, this car is stylish, and it's definitely made an impact to the point they're bringing this car back. I guess it just goes to show how loved this car is. Number 3, the Aston Martin DB10. In the movie Spectre, this car was created specifically for that film. And it is stylish. It is one of the most gorgeous looking, futuristic, modern Aston Martin Bond cars. Bond's car. And it's stylish. It's slick. I like how it is used in the chase. Maybe a bit underutilized, but it is so futuristic. And even for a person who ain't a fan of having these more modern cars and rather would be behind the wheel of like muscle cars or these like more sleek, stylish vintage cars, this car is an absolute dream. It's absolutely eye-stopping, jaw-dropping car. Again, it leads to a bit of a gag, and it leads to a nice little gag. Then again, most Bond cars tend to. But I just like it so stylish. And again, in 2015, it had been a while since Bond got behind another new Aston Martin, and this car, of course, was the car that was specifically designed for this film. And I can really tell they put a lot of effort in designing this one. It's so fantastic. And I hope that this car does come back, because honestly, it should be given another film to really show off what kind of car it is. Even though I think it worked well for its film, I wouldn't mind it being brought back. Number 2. The Lotus Esprit. This is Roger Moore's Bond car. In fact, throughout the Roger Moore tenure, his car were the Lotuses. Now, I will admit, this is a car that probably wouldn't work well for modern times, but certainly worked well for its era. It's again gadget fueled. I will admit the design has grown on me. I wasn't a fan of it, but it's grown on me to the point where I consider it the second best Bond car. And of course, it turns into an underwater submarine. And honestly, from what I hear, it could still turn into a submarine still. There's a car like this still exists. And honestly, again, there's no way a modern Bond car or modern day Bond would use this car. It's clearly something that belongs in its time period. And honestly, that's how it should always be viewed. It also came back with a few some cameos in For Your Eyes Only, but in The Spy You Love Me, it works so well, and I think the real reason it even works even better is because it worked with its Bond. That's what it needed to do. You needed a car that works with your Bond well. And we can all agree, no matter how you rank it, this car will always be the second greatest Bond car. So the question remains, what is the greatest Bond car? Well, is there ever any doubt with our number 1? The number 1 choice goes to the Aston Martin DB5. If you get every single Bond fan in an entire country, chuck them in a room, they'll have different opinions on the best Bond, the best villain, the best Bond girl, the best Bond film. But we can all unanimously agree on at least maybe two things. Who was the best Q, and what is the best Bond car? The Aston Martin is Bond's car. Introduced in Goldfinger in 1964, this car has stood the test of time. It has been brought back in several films following its introduction. It was brought back in Thunderball. It was brought back in GoldenEye, Tomorrow Never Dies, Casino Royale, Spectre, Skyfall, and now No Time to Die. This film, Goldfinger introduced to us Bond's go-to car. It's a car every fan on the planet would want to own. Everyone wants to get behind the wheel of this car, and honestly, I feel very jealous that 3 men or actors got to drive this car. Sean Connery got to drive it, Pierce Brosnan got to drive it, Daniel Craig got to drive it. If you're Bond, this is the car you want to get behind the wheel of. It has everything: the ejector seat, machine guns, oil slick, smoke screen. It is so stylish. It is like an institution. This is the Bond. The Aston Martin is to Bond what the Batmobile is to Batman. The DeLorean is to Marty McFly. This car is one of the greatest cars ever introduced in the history of cinema, and will continue to be cherished. And I don't see how anyone could put another Bond car above this one. It is truly the #1 greatest James Bond car. And that's our list. Do you agree? Well, I'm pretty sure you would if you're a Bond fan. What other car would you have included on the list? Or specifically Bond Drive? What do you think is #1 Bond car? Please put your opinions down in the comments. And until next time, this has been the Steven Hour. And ladies and gentlemen, so long for now.